Welcome to Elevate the Game, where DFW's top leaders drop gems on success, strategy, and legacy with your hosts, George Abreu and Eric Badiwala. Let's get into it.
Today, we welcome Bernard Goor, a software executive with over 2 decades of experience in sales, customer success, and go-to-market strategy. He now helps B2B companies optimize performance and growth through his firm, Holistic Selling. Thanks, Bernard, for being on the show.
Thank you, George. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you can kind of start us off here and just give us a quick snapshot of your business and what you do and kind of, what led you down that path.
Sure. I spent 25 years of my life in the software technology industry, mostly in marketing, sales, and go-to-market roles in executive positions. And I decided to, quote unquote, retire from the corporate world in May of last year. However, I'm not done. I wanted to use the 25 years of experience to build a company, a concept called holistic selling that encapsulates my 25 years of experience into a framework and methodology that should be helpful for peers and companies out there who are seeking to improve their performance in terms of growth, profitability, and customer success. I started writing about it in May of last year, published 15 newsletters and more, and then started a podcast about 3 months ago with solo episodes and guests to continue to publish more about holistic selling and reach a wider audience. The purpose, again, is to help B2B SaaS companies improve their profitability, growth, and customer success performance at every stage in the customer lifecycle.
Nice. So I'm sure there's a lot of competition in this sector, right? What would you say sets you apart from the rest?
Well, that's a great question. So first of all, I started this because I had a voice, I had a message I wanted to share with the audience. I'm passionate about the message, and again, having 25 years of experience in the domain gives me certainly that background. So what differentiates me is that I've looked at a lot of sales messages around B2B SaaS, and they all seem to be limited to how to improve the sales process and every stage of the sales process. My framework and methodology looks beyond the sales process to harmonizing all the processes and functions of a B2B SaaS company to eliminate all the frictions and limitations and barriers that prevent a company from enabling their frontline team members to deliver extraordinary experiences and outcomes to customers and prospects at every touch point. So I haven't seen anybody who's taken such a holistic approach. The notion of holistic is borrowed, obviously, from the concept of holistic healing, where all aspects of body and mind needs to be synchronized for you to be in great health. Holistic selling is more than selling. It's about harmonizing and synchronizing all the aspects of a company across all the functions, from culture to strategies to tactics to operations, to eliminate all those frictions, be aligned towards the true north, which is delivering those extraordinary experiences and outcomes to customers and prospects at every touch point. I have not seen anybody else in the field yet who has taken the same approach.
So you're not just focusing on the sales department or just the selling in general. It's almost anybody that's touching that customer in a sense, or
Absolutely. And the key is, having been a sales executive for a number of years, you realize that every part of the company is important to succeed in growing your business profitably and delivering customer success. Everybody plays a role. We always say, sales is a team sport. I think it goes beyond being a team sport. Sales is an enterprise sport. Everybody has to support the notion of enabling the frontline team members to delight customers and prospects at every touch point. And that goes for back office function as well as every person who touches a customer and prospect at every stage. The way that you gain trust with the customers and the prospects is by delivering value at every stage of the game, every interaction you have. Because every time you deliver value, and value may mean different things at different stages, you earn the right to get something in return, which is an additional level of commitment from the prospect and customer to engage, to continue down the sales cycle, to engage in a customer upgrade of some sort. But the key is always deliver value at every stage, delight the customers and prospects at every interaction to ensure that you earn the right to build that trust and build those relationships.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, throughout the years with my different companies, I've seen it firsthand, and um, getting the sale is only the beginning, I think. And you can get repeat customers from that one sale. You can get referrals, obviously, and all kinds of things. Yeah, I like it. I like the
Yeah.
approach for sure.
And look, yeah, sales may be the tip of the spear, right? But there's obviously a lot of functions touching customers every day, from sales to solution consulting to customer success management to account managers, etc. The key, though, on being the tip of the spear is you depend on the entire company to back you up,
Yeah.
right? You depend on a great brand, a vibrant brand that people want to follow. You depend on the company having a purpose that creates adoption. You depend on the company to practice great values such as integrity, accountability, empathy, humility, respect, value creation to build that level of trust from the customers and the prospects. You depend on your reputation being aligned with your brand. Yeah, your brand is what you tell the customer about you. Your reputation is what the market says about you. It's
Yep.
sort of the other side of the coin. Well, if you may have a great brand, but if your reputation doesn't say what your brand is saying, you're not going to sell. And so you
Mhm.
depend on all those elements and more when you get to the moment of truth of advancing a sales cycle or advancing a customer relationship. Everything matters. And we live in a world now of increased competitive pressure for SaaS B2B firms, where uh, being good enough is not good enough anymore. You have to
Mhm.
excel at every phase of the game, and you have to be able to differentiate yourself by creating a higher level of trust, which is the currency. Your value and trust are the currencies that you absolutely have to leverage into winning deals and making customers successful. And that doesn't happen unless you excel at every phase of the game.
So if there's someone listening that wants to increase their sales, what's and they want to use this approach that you're putting out there, this holistic approach, what do you suggest they do?
Well, various things, but first and foremost, as you get to know holistic selling better, you realize that it's built at an inverse pyramid, and the layer at the bottom of the pyramid is what I call the foundational level. And first and foremost, what's important is build the right culture. Your culture is not an abstract word. Culture is built on, do you have the right purpose? Do you have a purpose in your company that is bigger than yourself, that is going to motivate customers and prospects to adopt your solutions? Do you have the right values in place to behave in a way that helps customers trust your brand? So that's level number one. Do you have the right purpose? Do you have the right values to condition the interactions with the customers and the prospects? Then you got to make sure that on top of that, all the functions in the company, from finance to marketing to go-to-market to sales to product management to customer success management, have a set of strategies that are aligned towards enabling people at the coalface, people at the front line to deliver extraordinary experiences and outcomes to customers at every touch point. And then you need to convert these into a series of tactics, the how-to guides, if you will, that enable those team members to do the job the right way in front of customers and prospects at every touch point, which means that it requires a lot of coordination, a lot of synchronization, and the compliance to a true north, which, if you will, is bigger than any functional objective by itself. I think that those are all the key components to how you
Mhm.
can absolutely transform your competitive game and again, not only win deals and grow profitably, but also drive the success of your customers.
So you're saying there's no easy button.
There's no easy button. There's again the four levels of your foundational, strategic, tactical, and operational need to be completely synced and aligned.
Absolutely.
As I always said in my life, success in life is not about doing one thing 100% better. It's doing many things 10% better.
Yeah.
Holistic selling is very much aligned with that, right? What I'm saying is all obviously companies have sales and finance and marketing and product management. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about aligning those processes and functions to a true north, to a common goal, and doing each one of them 10% better so that you can truly differentiate yourself in the marketplace.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Makes sense for sure. Okay, kind of switching around here. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career or in your business? And how did you do that?
Very good question. I think, again, the biggest challenge whether it was your marketing or sales in either one of those sort of career threads, if you will. The key has always been how to eliminate the disconnects and the frictions within the enterprise, right? So lesson number one, and it's not easy, right? Every function tends to live by its own metrics, and those metrics may not be aligned with the true north. So, lesson number one is how do you find a way when you join an organization to help with the synchronization and the alignment of all the functions, which is necessary to eliminate the barriers that prevent the frontline team members to deliver value to customers. So that's number one. Number two is how do you then convert that into the number one rule, which is trust? How do you get customers and prospects to trust you? And in a world of information is available to everyone and everybody using social networks and AI to find information, you can't hide, you can't fool anyone, right?
Yeah.
It's very important to be absolutely congruent in the way that you present yourself to market. And that means, again, that the way you build trust is in making sure that your brand, your reputation, your values, your purpose are all aligned towards making sure that customers and prospects see you as one. And when there's no divergence and everything converges to an identity that makes your brand shine, that's when people are going to trust your brand. That's when they're going to start trusting you. And that, George, is the big difference in the marketplace today.
Yeah, no, as you were kind of explaining everything you do, you said the word friction right now, and I was picturing some of that, where the departments, there could be some friction between the departments, but if they're all aligned and working together, um, I could see how that can definitely help with sales or, you know,
Yeah, and it's not an abstract notion, right? It solely depends on the CEO of the company, the executive leadership team, to really be leading that culture, which means that you need to have a balanced scorecard that's embedded in the way the company works so that every department, every function may have its own metrics, but all those metrics roll up to that common good, right? To that true north, which is how do we obviously maximize revenue, maximize profit, maximize gross and net retention with existing customers. Those are the regular financial metrics. But also, how do we have the right operating metrics? How do we have other metrics like employee engagement, customer satisfaction, customer adoption, and customer value, right?
Mhm.
So the way that you measure your success needs to change. It's not just financial metrics and operating metrics. You also need to measure your success in terms of employee engagement. And on the customer side, it used to be just customer sat, but that's not the case anymore. You got to be able to measure customer adoption and customer value. How much value have you realized for your customers? So those become inherent to how you run the company to drive attention to the true north, which is again maximizing customer value that you can recycle into additional sales cycles, additional customer expansions over time, building that virtuous cycle of growth is absolutely essential.
Absolutely. So, changing things up a bit. So I think, you've had a long career, right? 25 years of experience, and now you've started the business. Outside of that, what are your thoughts on investments, whether it's, stocks, bonds, real estate, just something to build some passive income and kind of that retirement at some point, I guess. What are your thoughts about that?
That's interesting. That's a slightly different topic, but
Yep. Yep.
no, obviously, having sort of retired from the corporate world, I'm more in control of my time. I'm more in control of the way that I want to run my life, so to speak. And certainly, I've spent more time looking at ensuring that the financial investments are optimized. And obviously, as anybody in my stage of life, you want to make sure that you always follow a balanced portfolio. But at the same time, you need to read a lot more in terms of all the financial news, the politics, economy, all of that, to stay one step ahead of the curve and
Hmm.
making sure that your investments are as much as possible put in the areas that will be productive. And obviously, having been in the technology world for 25 years, I have certainly an inclination to invest in technology and outside of portfolios managed by professional money managers, I also like to invest a bit of money in companies that I pick based on my evaluation of their growth potential, and it's really fun. It's a
Hmm.
fun activity to really, because what it does, it forces you to stay connected to the world and stay very much aware of what's happening in a world where we have obviously, as we all know, increased volatility. So it's very, very
Yep.
important to do this on a daily basis and stay on top of the news.
Well, if you're heavily invested in the tech, you've probably done pretty well the last few years. Not with some ups and
Well,
downs, not without some
yeah,
ups and downs, but
until 3 months ago, but that
yeah,
again will rebound, right?
yeah,
I think there's some, you always have to pay attention to the long trends, not the shorts, right?
hmm,
Geopolitical tensions may impact the market, but they're short-lived. What's
correct.
really important is to look at the long trends. And the long trends, for example, obviously AI is very, very important. But it's not just the companies that are obviously building AI data centers. It's the companies that are helping them build those AI data centers. Obviously, all the semi companies and everybody who the whole economy behind it, the energy providers, right, the utility companies. All of those are part of that long-term trend. And so it's really important to understand that it's not just, the Amazons, the Metas, the Googles, it's who is actually enabling them, right? And so you go into the semiconductors and all the equipment manufacturers. You also go into, for example, the energy companies, right? And then energy means what? It means different types of energy. So you invest in obviously oil or gas or nuclear, for example. All of those are going to become important, and we will need all of those in the US to sustain the incredible demand for energy and electricity going forward. So that's look at it as a long-term trend. If you have an horizon of 5, 10, 15 years and stick to it, right? Because the short-term volatility will come and go, but the long-term trends are going to sustain the growth of your portfolio, I believe.
Yep, yep. I like what you said there. So not only the big companies that are spending the money, right? What are they spending the money on? Or who's
Exactly.
gonna,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really where the actually very often those companies that are providing the shovels, if you will, right,
mhm.
are the ones that are more profitable and can see higher market appreciation.
Yep, yep. Okay, so as we're wrapping up our interview here, I always like asking if you've got any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months.
Well, thanks for asking. Obviously, I built the holistic selling methodology and framework over the last 6 months. I started the podcast to grow the audience over the last 2, 3 months. And I realized that becoming a podcaster or a quote unquote influencer is taking more and more of my time. It is becoming a full-time job. And so it's a never-ending cycle of learning. There's so much to learn on how to optimize the way to pre-create content, publish content, how to optimize the audience and so on and so forth. That I think that's going to consume the vast majority of my time over the next 3 to 6 months, with an occasional, obviously, vacation here and there to take advantage of my semi-retirement and stay fresh. But the next 3 or 6 months, I believe, are going to be continuing the journey, right? Because I learned from one of the key influencers in the space that first, if you want to succeed at this game, you got to be consistent. You have to have the passion and the expertise, but you have to be consistent. You have to continue to believe in the long-term success, even though at the start it may be limited, right? It may be small, but stick with it, and it may take up to 36 months to see ways to monetize the influence that you build. So I don't have a sense of urgency, but I certainly want to continue the journey and see where it leads.
Okay, so you'll be taking over social media in the next 6 to 12 months. Got it.
Well, I'm doing my best to learn, but I'm still very, very small.
Yeah.
So it's a humbling experience to see how you can grow from a simple idea, where holistic selling started as a concept, as an idea, and go from there to creating the content to growing an audience, and then ultimately, possibly monetizing that audience. It's a journey that, again, may take weeks, months, if not years.
Yep. Bernard, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all your insights and tips. If somebody listening would like to get a hold of you and connect, what's the best way they can do that?
bg@holisticselling.com.
Awesome. All right, I'll make sure we put that in the notes. Thank you very much, Bernard.
All right, George. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to Elevate the Game. If you're a mover and shaker in DFW with game to share, apply to be a guest at elevatethegamepodcast.com/guest.